Now we're going to switch over to politics, and of course there's a lot happening around the country, especially with the three major political candidates running for president, and we're going to be talking with a member of the APC here in the studio, Moyo Ogunlewe. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
We also have Ndikato, who's a spokesperson for the Obi Dati campaign, joining us from our Abuja studios. But before we get to her, thanks Ndikato for joining us. But let me start with you, Moyo.
Thank you for having me.
October 20 was a big one 2 years ago for a lot of Nigerians, and of course three days ago we did mark that. We saw what happened online on TV with people who tried to walk past the toll gates again. But I want to start this question with you because the words of your presidential candidate continues to bother a lot of people, where he pretty much blamed the victims and he said things like, what were they doing there at the time? Do you think that's the position he still holds to today? What's the APC stand, with the EndSARS movement and everything that happened on October 20th, 2020?
Well, thank you for this question. Well, for me, as far as I'm concerned, the youths at that particular time deviated from what they should have, what they were actually, what they wanted, which is EndSARS. You don't expect in a situation where after doing protest, a lot of things was going on. People were robbing, I was a victim of armed robbery during that period. And for me, in that situation, that clearly tells you that the youths deviated from what they were championing. A lot of them were actually even smoking Indian hemp. People were drinking on the street, playing snooker on the streets. For me, I think that should not have happened. If you are protesting, protest properly.
The question is about the 20th of October, where we do know that soldiers came and opened fire. We don't know because we saw what happened. We did hear the state governor a few days later on CNN confirm that soldiers came there to open fire. We did hear your current presidential candidate say that victims shouldn't have been there, basically blaming them for staying there before the soldiers came. So if you're saying that they deviated, are you saying that they deserved what happened on the 20th? Which is what the insinuation of your presidential candidate seems to be.
Don't get my presidential candidate. Don't get that right. Yeah. What he was saying basically was that the youth actually deviated from what they were there to do. Now, he's not saying that the military, what they did was right. Don't get it right. Don't mix it up, yeah? What he was saying was, at that particular time, what we were championing was right, but the mode of which we were championing it was wrong. So I think for me, if he says or if he makes that statement, then I don't think there's anything bad in that.
Let me come to you now, Ndikato. You are, of course, a spokesperson for peterobi and Dati, their campaign. But your presidential candidate, of course, continues to be mired in controversy, with his association with probably the most notorious police officer at the time from the Okuzu police station, the Okuzu SARS police station at the time. He got called out for not speaking up, during the EndSARS, especially with what happened in Anambra State under his tenure. Why do you think he's not completely, dissociated himself from this man or this police officer, and why can't he speak up on what happened when he was governor?
So he has spoken during the EndSARS protest. During the protest, of course, he released a statement like, well-meaning Nigerians saying that, look, they stand with the youth, this is a protest that is due, and all of that. But beyond that, this is why my candidate, His Excellency Peter Obi, is pushing for the restructuring of the Nigerian police, so that at the state level, these governors can be more than just figureheads with respect to their relationships with these police officers and the police system. We cannot have a police system where these kind of things keep happening, and the governor of the state is expected to be the head of the state, but the command is coming from Abuja. So these things are very tricky. At the end of the day, you can see a movement towards correcting an anomaly like this, because writing his statements, writing his promise on what he's going to do going forward, Peter Obi has repeated
people still say there are still 2 major parties, but maybe 3 candidates, including the presidential candidates of the Labour Party. What's different about what he's doing, and why does it matter now?
Number one is making the elections about the critical issues that matter. And number two, injecting empathy into the campaign, into the political system. I always say this, politics is a conduit to good governance. It's not just for the sake of it. It's not just a dirty game that we play because we want power. The ideal thing is that politics is the route we take towards good governance, the route we take towards delivery of services to the people. And that is what he has introduced into the campaign system, or into the campaign period in Nigeria. Prior to this, we'll have been having conversations of one candidate is jogging, the other candidate is eating corn and all of that. But right from when he hits the ground running, Peter Obi made sure that what he came here to do was to discuss the issues. There's so many issues plaguing Nigeria. And he had, I dare say, he has been the one responsible for drawing these elections right to the issues. And that is what has made this election different. Now, another thing I insist on is if you're going into an election season, right, if you do not have the emotional investment of the people, it's a waste of time. And that is what we are seeing that is different in this election. We're saying, oh, people have gone to register so much to vote. People have gone to do this. Are they going to come out? There is emotional investment in this election, and emotional investment is going to take away voter apathy to a very, very high degree. Why is there emotional investment in this election? Because one candidate has made this election, number one, about the issues. What are these issues? Issues that are plaguing Nigerians, and there are so many. And has decided that, look, in this campaign season, we're going to bring everything, the economy, infrastructure, insecurity, education, you know, all of that, and even region by region. I remember, you know, his conversation with the Northerners, telling them that, look, agric is the new gold, and we're going to ensure that you're going to be able to do your farming properly on a commercial scale, take care of the, you know, the whole route from farming all the way to exporting, take care of insecurity to make sure that you can get back on the farms. These are critical issues. If Peter Obi was not actively involved in these campaigns, the one time we would have probably heard from the presidential candidates would have been at the debates. If at all they would have showed up, perhaps they would have sent their deputies. But this has put people on their toes. This has made people want to bring out their own energy, their own funds and everything.
If you can hear me. Sorry to jump in there. I just wanted to ask you very quickly, because I hear you, and the argument against all of this is,
yes, please.
He's not different from the average politician. He's been a governor for 8 years in this same system. He has also come with this narrative, especially with his supporters, of being the messiah, and people are wary of that messiah complex. You know, we've seen that play out in this country and how it turned out eventually. Why are these two things still his selling points when he doesn't seem to be sitting well with some people?
I do not think that Peter Obi has come as a messiah. I think he has come as one of us. That is his selling point. He is very relatable. He behaves and acts like the average Nigerian. He's relatable. He talks to us. He has a messiah complex is one that feels that, oh, you're on a certain pedestal, you're not one with the people. But this man constantly engages the people on a one-on-one level. We feel this man talking to us. I feel like this is my brother running for president. I feel like this is my uncle running for president. Somebody that relates on the same level with the issues that are plaguing me and understands these issues. So I think it's very different. When you have a messiah complex, that person is placed on such a pedestal that, you know, accountability and all of that are out of the window. And no one more than Peter Obi himself has been clear about denouncing that messiah complex. When persons like Rino Odwala and Aisha Yesufu criticized him, and people went on, you know, and were like, no, you can't criticize this man, we're supposed to win this. And he came on himself and said, look, you should be able to criticize me. When there were issues, when there were supposed controversies with the presidential campaign council list, what did he do? I take responsibility. Doyin Okupe also took responsibility. The party chairman took responsibility. This is not a messiah complex. There will be people that would look at this and say, I have never seen a presidential candidate behave like this before. I haven't seen politics on this level before, and it gives me so much hope. And hope is not a bad thing, Ebuka, especially when that hope is backed by actions, that hope is backed by different behavior, accountability, and somebody actually relating to you on a level that you've never seen before, and injecting, like I've said, injecting empathy into an election system that has been lacking that for a very long time.
All right, I'll come back to you, Ndu. Let me speak now with Moyo. Moyo, on the other hand, your candidate is accused of not exciting people enough. You know, he seems to be a part of a system that's been around for decades, and a part of a government now that's been in power for over 7 years, going on 8 years. You know, it's almost like what's supposed to be different from what we're experiencing now. Why should anybody care about a party that's been in government for this long, and most people are dissatisfied with, if we're being honest? What's different?
Well, thank you very much. I think what we should be talking about is my candidate, basically, which is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. What did he do when he was governor of Lagos State? His experience in politics is also very important. This is a man that when he was governor in 1999, he me, there were a lot of things. The health sector was taught. When he got into power, we just had only one ambulance in Lagos. He expanded that to about 100 to 150 ambulances within Lagos State, and also provided us with free eyeglasses. That's one. Two, on the infrastructural development of Lagos State, Awolowo Way was built. Ikoyi Road was also built. Ikotun Link Road was built. So many infrastructural developments which Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu did when he was governor. Thirdly, also on the issue of generation of revenue, you can see clearly when he got into power, we only generated about 45 million basically, but now it's getting now to about 45 billion. That's what he has been able to achieve within that short period of time when he was governor. So what we're talking about is experience and what he's bringing to the table as president. And for me, I think he's the best man for the job.
And I mean, I hear you say that, but it's hard to divorce him from a party where he's been self-proclaimed, and of course, the party also proclaimed him leader of the party. So he's entrenched in the system. It's one thing to say, oh, he's this, but I mean, if he's a part of a party where he formed, and was an integral part of forming the APC, calls himself the leader of the party, the members of the party call him the leader. You can't divorce the person from the party, can you?
Of course, he's not the president of the country. The president has enormous powers to do whatever he wants to do. Buhari, as president, has done his part, and Asiwaju is coming in to take over and also to renew the hope of Nigerians. For me,
so do you agree that there's no hope now? I mean, do you just call the APC as doing a great job if you're trying to divorce the candidates from the president?
Don't forget that before Buhari came into power, there was a lot of insecurity. I'm not saying it's all gone now, but it's better, at least to an extent. And Asiwaju is coming in. You can see his policy. If you go through the policy books, you can see what he has put in there.
Is he ready to run on the record of the APC, you think?
No. He's coming in as his own president. He's coming in as the president of Nigeria.
It's a very simple question. I mean, if the APC has done well, would he be proud to run on their record? That's what I want.
Of course he's running. Of course
is he running on APC's federal record?
Of course he's running on their record.
He thinks it's good enough.
The party is supporting him. The party supports the candidate, and you are not a candidate of yourself. So basically, of course, the party is with him, and I can tell you for free that we're going to win the election.
What do you think of the other candidates? Because I hear you say you're going to win the election now, and it's very interesting. We'll see, we're going to go to Ndi very shortly, but we'll see what's happening around the country. Everybody seems to be holding rallies, like I said at the start, and everybody seems to be filling stadiums everywhere. So I'm wondering where these people are coming from. What's giving you the confidence? Do you see the other two candidates as not good enough?
No, they are wonderful candidates. You know, it's democracy, and for me, I'm enjoying what's going on. Atiku campaigning on the other side, Peterobi campaigning, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is also campaigning. But the most important thing is there's a lot to elections, which I've contested twice under the People's Democratic Party before I moved to the APC. And Asiwaju gave me the opportunity to run. And presently, I'm the chairman of Koshofe local government. And that is what we are talking about. And for me, I can tell you that elections are more than social media. I'm a young person. I know how it is. I've campaigned vigorously. And it's more than that.
So he knows how to win, is what you're saying, regardless of what it is.
He will win the election.
Ndikato, let me come to you. You hear that? I mean, and it's something we've heard a lot, you know, from people who are members of the APC and supporters of the APC saying, whatever the case is, the one thing the APC seems to know how to do is win elections. Labour Party, on the other hand, doesn't seem to, you know, have a track record of that. How do you respond to that?
I mean, what we have is a people-led movement. The people have said repeatedly that they are running for president through Peter Obi. So the conversation about structures and all of that, I dare say that Labour Party and the young people and, you know, all the people invested in the Labour Party at the moment have made elections so much more difficult. The process of campaigning is so much more difficult for traditional parties, because places where they could go to and just have a flimsy crowd and, you know, people would overlook. Now they have to pay extra, and this is something that Labour gets for free. And I'm wondering, like, when we keep saying that, oh, those are not, you know, these are not the voters, elections are not social media, and you look at these people using their own funds to come out, organizing by themselves, the candidate doesn't even have to show up to these places. His campaign committee has not done as much work as people who have done on ground, and you're seeing so much being led by Nigerians, and we're still denying and saying, oh, we can't see what's happening. This is a movement of the people. The people have decided. Every day when I go to the market, yesterday I was at the market, Garki Market in Abuja, and I still ask questions, and these people are like, look, somebody went as far as saying that, look, even food, like, she's not going to label and cook food for somebody who's not going to vote the right way. It's something that has caught on so much. People are organizing. For many Nigerians, this is their first major foray into active politics. Majorly, they just show up and vote on that day. But right now, we see Nigerians organizing. It's a different way of politicking. I understand that people who are used to traditional politicking, traditional political parties, and traditional, way of doing things in the way that it happens, and all of those structures and the monies that go down to water and oil those structures, are not used to seeing things like this, are not used to seeing an organic movement like this, and they may have their doubts. But, Ebuka, these doubts have been cleared time and again. Building up to the campaigns, building up every single step of the way, there have been doubts. Oh, you cannot do this. And these people tell you, Labour Party supporters, peterobi supporters tell you, we can. And they go ahead and organize and do it. You can do it this way. They go ahead and organize and do it. And right now, these young people, these people who are actively involved in this campaign, young and old, have gone a step further. Look, we're going to take our platform. We're going to focus on the flooding in Nigeria because we need to bring empathy to this. They're donating monies, bringing different things, going into canoes and going to these places like the candidate is doing. All of these things are happening, things that we've not seen before. We cannot continue to pretend that what we are seeing is normal and that, oh, this normal thing has been happening before and there's nothing special in it. Of course, there's something special. There's a change, there's a seismic shift in the manner of politicking, in the manner in which people engage elections, and it's something that I'm really happy about. This shows that there won't be voter apathy. This shows that something is going to change in these elections, and Peter Obi is going to carry the day.
I mean, it's easy to say there's a movement, and I think we all can see that. And yes, it is away from social media because we've seen people walk the streets and all of that. But when you talk about money and you say, oh, they have the money to oil this, the system, and they might have, or the other parties might have the money to oil the system. Money is extremely important in politics, regardless of who you are. So how is that supposed to work when you are saying you're fighting a money battle, but money doesn't matter? Is that what you're saying?
So I remember engaging in the women's program, and I said, look, Obi's candidacy is an opportunity for, even minority groups, that is in terms of elections, or endangered groups in terms of elections, that is women and young people, to get into politics, because once people are emotionally invested, they bring their own. And this is how elections are supposed to be run, right? We're not supposed to have a few money bags who own political parties bringing out their monies, and then at the end of the day, it's like making an investment. They make an investment, personal investment though, not altruistic, personal investment. They make this investment into the elections, and then at the end of the day, when their candidate wins, they hope to recoup it via contracts and other forms of corruption. But what we are seeing happen, and that has made it very difficult for other candidates who do not have this kind of money or this kind of money bags behind them. And these money bags, of course, are rent seekers from the system, people who have benefited from the Nigerian system, from corruption, of course. This has gone round and round. It's been a very vicious cycle. And now we have people understanding that, look, if we have people invested in my campaign, invested in my elections, they will bring out funds by themselves. They will contribute. They will look for how to bring this. And this is the kind of election we're looking for, where people volunteer their time, their energy, their effort. I have people from several parts of the world asking, and so at some point you even have to tell them, you can't donate to the major campaign itself. And like, what can I do? Anywhere I am, I want to see a change in Nigeria. I want to bring my own funds. Young people with next to no money are saying, look, I'll volunteer my time and energy. This is where the money goes into, that in other political parties, you have to pay for this. In other political parties, for somebody to shift from point A to point B, you have to pay for it a lot of the time. For people to show up for rallies, all of those T-shirts, all of those things, you have to pay for those things for people to come out. Water, money for water, Zobo, all of those things, mobilization, as they call it. There are people who are even in charge of that to make sure that these people come out. But at this point, we're seeing that, look, you just announced, look, we're gathering at this place and people will come out with their own funds. That's where the money goes into, Ebuka. That's where the money goes into. Unless we're now saying, oh, there's also money used to rig elections, which of course is very illegal and shouldn't be happening.
All right.
But everything that is happening organically, when we talk about money, that is where the money should be going to. And Peter Obi is getting it for free. So when we say money elections, look, that is because people are not emotionally invested, but right now we have that, and that is the thing that Peter Obi has over other candidates.
All right. Now, your candidate has been, accused of a lot of things, not granting interviews, not being around to campaign. There's a question about his health, which we don't necessarily need to delve into now. But I want to know, a lot of these questions, are things that young people are asking about. The Nigerian youth is about 70% of the population today. We've seen a huge number of them, 65%. 80% of them who have registered to vote this year. What's the plan to energize that demographic, which seems, at least on the face of it, to be tilting to a different way? How does the APC plan and the candidate plan to, get young people in their corner?
There's a lot of young people in their corner working for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and that was demonstrated yesterday. Clearly, there was a walk for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and we had thousands of people there. They are all young people, and I can tell you that we now have seen something different in Asiwaju Bola Ahmed. If you get closer to him, have a one-on-one talk with him, then you definitely change your mind about him. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a different man entirely, and this is someone that if you go to his house around 2 a.m., you're going to see him awake, you speak to him, he addresses you, you have a one-on-one talk with him.
But not everybody can go to his house. So how do we know these things?
You can't go to his house.
If I live in Onitsha, I'm not going to answer a car to come and go to his house. So my point is, how do we know? How do we see? Because the impression, like I said, is questions about his health and questions about the fact that he doesn't grant interviews yet. Maybe he will, but I mean, those are the things that Nigerians would like to see, and it doesn't seem to be happening.
Ebuka, let's be serious here now. From the age of 40 upwards, you have one sickness or the other. So don't judge that with whether Asiwaju is ill or not. For me, the most important thing is what does he have to offer? What's his experience? And for the youths of the country, I can tell you for free that we are going to vote for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the next election. And as I said clearly before now, yesterday's work proved that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is on ground. The youths are with him 100%. And if there's any doubt, let other candidates, they have children, let them go and do their own work anywhere they can. Article is from Adamawa. If you send his son to go and do a work in Adamawa, Obi is from Anambra, let him go and try the work there. Sheyi Tinubu had a walk in Lagos yesterday, and you could see the massive turnout. We are fully in support of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And I can tell you for free, we're going to defeat other candidates. Trust me on this.
On the other hand, your candidate is accused of, I don't know if overexposure is the word, because it looks like, the more interviews he grants, the more he gets statistics wrong or numbers wrong and all of that, He's suddenly been tagged as the guy who drops numbers and data that's usually verified and seen as wrong, and the question is there a team behind him who, is helping fix this? Because it doesn't look very good for him, does it?
So there was this video where he was having this conversation where he said, look, this is less of I'm getting this wrong and more of there are several organizations that release this data, and perhaps he needs to start quoting NBS, National Bureau of Statistics, because that is the one that people recognize. So he doesn't quote another organization and people say, oh, National Bureau of Statistics says this. And I believe that video was self-explanatory. It's even I who seems to be quite verbose when I'm on TV. I realize that, look, the standard that peterobi has set is very, very difficult to follow and to keep up with. This man pulls these things off the top of his head. We can't see the most engaging the presidential candidate Nigeria has had in a long time, in fact, ever, and start, oh, okay, today he didn't add one extra zero to the numbers that he should have added. The truth is, if you look at the conversations that he's trying to have, the conversations are true. These things are true. So, again, there might be, the discrepancy there might be that one organization has released one different figure and another released this different figure, and people are banking on it to say peterobi is lying. But he's not. Whatever he's quoting, wherever he's bringing examples from, these things are actually happening there. These things are happening there, and it is good. It is a healthy thing for us to rely on statistics and data for our conversations. Okay. So to look at the one person that is bringing that into the conversation and try to dog him, to try to make fun of him, instead of, look, let us build on this and say, look, okay, he's bringing this to the conversation. This is healthy to the conversation. This is the routes that we should go, and the more we press, the more we are able to get more correct data. We should get other candidates to join in and bring this. Instead, we are going to say, oh, the one person who is bringing this to the conversation should not be, or he's a liar and all of that. I don't think so. I don't think that that is the correct approach. I think that the best approach to this is to encourage it, to make sure that they do more of this speaking from data and facts.
We literally have 30 seconds. I want to get this from you and, of course, from Moyo very, very quickly. Looking at the months ahead, and, of course, February in particular, 2023, are you worried or are you excited about what's to come? Very quickly.
A little bit of both. On one hand, I'm hoping that there's legitimacy for the election, that INEC does what it's supposed to do, and that institution stays strong, because that's what we need, a strong INEC to give us a flawless election where people who go to vote, their votes will count. That is what Nigerians are worried about. And on the other hand, I'm very excited. We're seeing a new way of politicking, a new way of doing things, an election that has been more than ever focused on the issues, and people making their own time and effort, bringing out all of their energies, doing all they can, taking off their time off from work to make sure that they see Peter Obi at the seat of the presidency to deliver services to the people. This is a very exciting election, and I'm looking forward to February.
Moyo, same question to you. I mean, the APC is in power now. The whole idea is for the people in power to continue, I believe, in your mind. Are you excited for what's to come? Are you worried, seeing how the landscape is? You know, talking about insecurity, talking about INEC, talking about the opposition. You know, what are your thoughts in the months ahead?
Well, first of all, I'm not worried about the opposition at all. I can tell you again that my candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will win the election with a landslide. Ebuka, we're going to come back here and have this conversation. For me, Asiwaju has the spread. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done so much for this country, and he deserves that seat. For me, come 2023, we're going to win the election, and we're going to defeat all opposition parties.
Well, good luck to everyone. Thank you very much, Moyo. Thank you very much, Ndikato, for joining us from Abuja. We're all keeping our fingers crossed and hopeful, you know, that things go smoothly. We're all excited. I mean, it's a very, very interesting campaign season, but a very long campaign season. And we're all hoping that by February, we are all smiling and the best man gets the job across board. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you next Sunday. Please be safe out there. And my name is Ebuka Ovich, and take care.